What follows must be understood with care, because the age in which we live rewards distortion more than truth. I do not reject self government, I reject its counterfeit. Across this nation, and increasingly across the Western world, people sense that what is called democracy no longer reflects their consent, their will, or their interests. Power has migrated upward and outward, away from families and communities, and into technocratic systems, corporate lobbies, and unaccountable networks that persist regardless of elections. By no means is this the failure of the people. It is the failure of a captured governing structure. In response, I do not call for chaos, mob rule, or the abandonment of law. I call for the restoration of legitimate authority. Authority strong enough to act, yet restrained enough to remain accountable. A central executive authority is necessary, not as an absolute ruler, but as a steward that is tasked with execution rather than domination. An authority of one who bears the final responsibility without possessing final sovereignty. Power must be unified in responsibility, but it also must be limited in scope. Congress, the courts, and our representative institutions are not ceremonial relics from a forgotten age. They are living instruments of restraint, deliberation, and accountability. They exist to temper power, challenge excess, and ensure that no office, however strong, escapes the discipline of law or the judgment of the people. The leader does not reign above the nation, nor dissolve into it. He governs on behalf of the people as a steward rather than a sovereign, always removable, always answerable, always bound by the same law that binds those he serves. Authority flows upward from the people and downward through the law, never outward into permanence or privilege. This is not tyranny, nor is it chaos. It is order with limits, a strength constrained by responsibility, power restrained by purpose. I reject the silent coup of corporations, lobbyists, and technocratic elites, not by abolishing enterprise or innovation, but by restoring their proper place. Markets are tools, not our masters. Technology is an instrument, not an orbiter. And institutions exist to serve the nation, not to substitute themselves for it. Economic power is not sovereign, it is subordinate. No corporation, no algorithm, no artificial system, however efficient or profitable, may ever outrank the dignity of a human being or the authority of a self governing people. When these systems cease to serve the common interest and good of mankind, they forfeit their legitimacy. . This is a line many of us draw. placing human dignity over profit, law above power, and the people above any machinery that would rule them without consent. I affirm a nationalist doctrine not rooted in bloodshed, race, or exclusion, but in civic duty, shared inheritance, and a moral responsibility. It is a nationalism anchored in stewardship, paired deliberately with subsidiary and genuine self governance. Because a nation is strongest when power is concentrated in purpose, not hoarded in distance. When authority rests as close to the people as possible. Identity is not something to be flattened or erased. It is layered, ordered, and lived. From regions to states and local communities must retain real authority over their affairs, their culture, economics, and future, while remaining bound together by a constitutional framework that secures stability, continuity, opportunity, and peace. Unity does not require uniformity, but it requires alignment under law and under morality. Therefore, I reject the modern lie that opportunity must be pursued through exile, mass migration, driven by desperation, is not a moral triumph. It is an indictment of failed systems and hollow leadership. For a just civilization does not treat displacement as policy or suffering as proof of progress. A righteous order does not force people to abandon their homes, heritage, or communities simply to survive. It establishes lawful order, security, and economic dignity where people live, so that flourishing is possible without flight, and hope does not require escape. I am not one to oppose technology. However, I deeply oppose dehumanization, artificial intelligence, surveillance architectures, and technocratic governance increasingly reduce human beings to data points, productivity metrics, or variables to be managed rather than persons to be served. This inversion is civilizationally destructive when efficiency replaces our conscience with systems that replace our judgment, and humanity is no longer the keeper of his own soul. Because